time.
Today, we are late for our first round, but it's all right because we are the number 2 and the number 4 seed of this event. It's time to win. This is my first game of the Midwest Open in Omaha, Nebraska, and my opponent was rated somewhere around 1850. He had the white pieces and decided to play c4. A little bit of background. I had taken probably about a month and a half away from competitive chess, so I used this tournament as a way of knocking off the rust in preparation for the National Open in Las Vegas, probably I think the first week of June. So forewarn you, this first game, and I think a lot in my second game were pretty disturbing. It was very disturbing to watch. There's moments of brilliance, but this game was definitely in need of a makeover. So after the move c4, we had e6, knight f3, and d5. And after g3, I knew that the game was likely to transpose into a Catalan because it's safe, solid, and hard to beat. So the specific line in the Catalan I was preparing was the Catalan closed, which arises after black decides to play c6 but not take on c4. So I played knight b to d7, even though c6 is uh, just as common. I just think knight b d7 is a bit more flexible. I think that's up for debate as well. So queen comes to c2, and finally we get c6. My opponent, he decided to play the most challenging line, which is rook b1, because I suppose if I do, or if he does follow, and play b or e4 later in the game, when I take, or if I take, then the rook will be optimally developed to support a further advance in the center with d5 when he has the material to prepare it. I play b6, trying to fix my light squared bishop, and I think it's a bit I've the bishop is a bit tricky in this system because sometimes the bishop is placed well on b7 where it could support c5, and other times it could be placed on a6 to create pressure on c4 and pick up a useful diagonal. Um, I wanted to go. I decided to play bishop b7 because I knew that I had a vague memory of white playing knight to c3, trying to get me to reveal what I wanted to do with the bishop first. Rather, like if he had played knight to c3 and my bishop were on c8, I might just come to a6 in one move. But I knew that it was perfectly acceptable to play bishop to b7 and then bishop to a6 on the following move, targeting c4. Now, what I didn't know was that after knight to d3, or even there is a variation with queen to d3, that black's main well, because white's not going to, I mean, if white's allowed, he'll keep this pawn on c4 forever. But black's main source of counterplay is targeting the c pawn with the move b5, and which was something that I forgot during the game, but something that's not going to happen in the future. That we can be sure. So, example line of something that could have happened but didn't happen was queen d3, queen c8, and eventually the advance of the b pawn. Because otherwise, he's just going to keep the c pawn on c4, and my bishop on a6 is not going to be fulfilling its destiny. So queen e2, and then b5, and then we get some exchanges, and voila, as you can see, black has some structural advantage on the queen side. He is out of light squared bishop, but it can be argued that that is insignificant considering how locked up the pawn structure is. So I would be totally fine with playing black in the current position.